What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And as you can see by everything laid out front, it's going to be a video that I've been wanting to make for a very long time, because Naruto has a special place in my heart in terms of manga. So I wanted to make this video for a long time, and that's my part 1 series review for Naruto. Obviously it is going to be I'm going to be biased in this video because Naruto is the first manga that I got into, and it is my favorite manga. So obviously this will be very, my opinions will probably stray towards Naruto, but I will try to be objective and kind of give any negative opinions that I do believe that I find. But I mean, if you have a different opinion, just let me know in the comment section below and tell me what you think, kind of where you agree and disagree with me. I don't mind discussing about it in the comment section below. But yeah, just bear in mind that Naruto is my favourite manga, so I will probably be a bit biased towards it. And obviously, again, it's subjective, so your opinion will definitely 100% vary to mine. So yeah, I'd have to just discuss about it in the comment section below. But in terms of the series, I have split it into 4 different categories I want to talk about: the art, the fights, the story and arcs, and the characters. So that's the 4 kind of things I want to talk about. This will probably be a bit of a longer review, considering it is a long series, and it's the longest series I've been reviewing to this date, so it'll probably be one of my longest videos. So just bear that in mind and kind of tell me what you think I should cut, or maybe if there's anything you want me to add to the review that I do, and how you thought about the fact that it will be a longer video, which it most likely will be. So yeah, let's just get straight into it and start with the artwork. Now, I think Kishimoto's best kind of feature in terms of the artwork is the backgrounds and the set pieces that he creates. I think he does a very good job when it comes to backgrounds, especially when he's detailing Konoha Village and stuff like that. I just think the backgrounds are done very well, and the set pieces and stuff. There's not a lot of white spaces when it comes to his artwork, and I think that's something that's really good and done really well. Another thing that I think he does well in terms of his art, as you can see by all the covers here, his character designs. I think they're very unique. You can always tell who's who, and kind of they always have their own unique features and things that stand out. So I think he's done a very good job designing multiple characters that you can distinguish and have these cool discernible features. Because character design might not be the easiest thing, and loads of people have loads of mangas have problems where a lot of the characters have the same face and look quite similar, even within different series that they do. So I don't think Kishimoto has a problem with that. I mean, I haven't actually read any of the other series, but in terms of Naruto, all the characters are discernible and distinguishable. So that's something that's done well. Now, his art in general, I think, for the time that the series came out, was probably a bit ahead of its time and a bit above the standard level of art, of shonen art at the time. However, I don't think it's anything amazing. It's nothing like One Punch Man or Dragon Ball. You're not going to get any quality art like that. I think it's just a bit above the quality of that time. I think it has the best art of the big 3. I do think that Kishimoto is the best artist out of the big 3. But something that I'd also like about Kishimoto is that from the first volume to the 27th, you can see his art improve over time as he gets more familiar with drawing the characters and the settings that he does. There is definitely an improvement. It's not just one static. For example, even Naruto in the first volume and the 27th volume, it just looks, there's a clear improvement with the characters. And although he doesn't make it look too different, there is definitely a clear improvement. So I'm hoping that by volume 72, Naruto looks completely improved and different. Not different so much, but just improved. Because I can see a clear improvement from volume 1 to 27. So that's something that you don't see with a lot of series. And obviously, long series, there will definitely be a change, but sometimes that change could be negative. If you look at something like Hunter x Hunter, obviously it's different because the manga for that has back problems and it's on hiatus constantly, but I think the artwork kind of dips and goes back up. It's a strange one there, but with Kishimoto, it's definitely just an upwards trajectory. So I think that's quite good. And that's pretty much it in terms of the artwork. Now something that kind of links into the artwork is the fights, and obviously Kishimoto's artwork in terms of fights is absolutely amazing. You can clearly see what's happening. It's well drawn and it's clear when it comes to fights. And I think what's good about the fights is they're unique and they're different. Each fight in the series kind of has like its own style to it. It's not just the same kind of fights over and over again, and that's obviously helped with the world that's been built and kind of the jutsu, the ninjutsu, and all the different places and villages and clans that are in Naruto. That kind of helps to make each fight discernible, because there are so many different methods of fighting and ways to fight. And I think a perfect example of that is my favourite fight, my favourite manga fight, to be honest, to this date, and that is the Rock Lee Gaara fight, which takes place in this volume. Somebody that can only use taijutsu versus a corrupt sand ninja, pretty much. So I think that this is the best fight in the series. It definitely brings high moments. There's a decent amount of dialogue to help you understand the characters, and I think it has one of my most hyped moments in the whole of manga, and that is when Rock Lee drops the weights. I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen happen, and the way it's drawn is absolutely amazing. I did go back and watch the fight in the anime, and it's animated really well as well, but I still think it's done a bit better in the manga, and it is one of my favourite, if not my favourite, manga fights to this date. A couple of other like honourable mentions in terms of fights is the Naruto Gaara fight. I think that's, again, a very unique fight. It's the first time that Naruto calls upon his, I can't remember the name, but the frog. It's the first time that he calls upon him, I think, or the first time he actually uses in battle. And then probably my second favourite fight in the series would be the Naruto Sasuke fight, because it's a lot of build up for that fight, and I think it definitely lives up to the hype. The whole series is literally just building up to that fight really, like, reasonably, or especially the last arc. It's just building up to that one big fight at the end, and I think it's done really well. The way they start fighting, then it's like a whole volume just literally backstory, and then the next volume, volume 26 at the top there, is just the whole fight, and I think it's done really well. And that's probably my second favourite fight of the series. And I hear that Naruto Sasuke right at the end of the series in volume 72 is an amazing fight, and 100 times better than this one, so I'm really looking forward to that. But fight wise, it's they're definitely really good fights. Every single fight in the Rescue Sasuke arc is amazing, and I just like the unique abilities that they each possess, and I think the fights definitely tie into the world that Kishimoto has built here, and that is definitely one of the reasons that makes the fights so outstanding. I think Naruto is the best series in terms of a lot of quality fights. I don't think any other series that I've read or watched has the consistency in terms of quality fights that Naruto has. I mean, there are a few lackluster fights here and there, but I don't think that there's enough to trump the consistent fights that there are. Alright, so next up we have story or arcs, and I believe that Naruto Part 1 is split into roughly five arcs that I can think of. So I'll just say the five arcs, and then I'll go in order from my least favourite to my most favourite, and kind of talk a little bit about them, what I think is positives and negatives about them. So the first arc is Land of Waves, which is volumes 1 to 4. Then it's the Chunin Exams, which is volumes 4 to 13, the longest arc. Then Konoha War, and that's volumes 14 to 16. Then Search for Tsunade, which is volume 17 to 19. And then Rescue Sasuke, which is the remainder of the series, 20 to 27. So, yeah, that's the arcs. And my least favourite arc of the series is probably the Search for Tsunade arc. I think it's a bit lackluster because they're building up to this big kind of event, and although the freeway seal was reasonably cool, I just think, or the freeway deadlock, I can't remember exactly what it's called, Although that was a pretty cool event, nothing much really happened. The fight wasn't amazing. I think the best part was when Naruto fought the guy with glasses. I can't remember his name now. Not Obito, Kabuto. Yeah, when he fights Kabuto, I think that's the best thing because you kind of see his training being put into use there, and I think that's probably the best thing that happens in the arc. And that might link into the fact that I think that Orochimaru is kind of a lackluster villain, or he's not really the best. So, but I'll talk about that more when I get to characters. But in terms of that arc, I just don't think it's that interesting. I don't think the build up to find Lady Tsunade for her to be kind of not the best character in the series, and she's not really that interesting. I don't really think she's the best fit for Hokage, to be honest, but I don't really dislike her as a character. I just don't think she's that interesting. So yeah, I think that arc wasn't the best, and that's why I put it in fifth. Now, I thought Land of Waves, which I put in fourth, which is the first arc in the series, whilst it was very good and hit me emotionally, probably the hardest hitting emotional arc in the series. But again, I'll talk about that when I get to characters. It's just not really that long. Nothing that much happens. There's no interesting fights within it that much, to be honest, apart from Kakashi's Zabuza, which is like a minute fight. But other than that, there's nothing too interesting. It's just kind of introducing to the characters in the world and them going out on their first mission. And that is only like 2 volumes long, so not really too much happens, and that's probably why I put it fourth, although it's probably the most emotionally hard-hitting arc. Then this is where it kind of gets difficult. I put the Konoha War in third. Now, although it has the Gaara and Naruto fight, which is amazing, and the death of the third Hokage, which is again another hard-hitting moment in the series, I do think that it's just not. I don't think it lives up to the quality of the other 2 arcs, which I'm gonna mention. So, although it's good, I just think it fits into that third place reasonably well. And it's not really a lot of character progression. It's just more about the attack and the fights. You don't really learn a lot of reasoning behind that until later on in the series. And again, it's led by Orochimaru, who I believe is kind of a lackluster villain. And obviously the second, not obviously, but the second I put Sasuke Rescue Arc, because I just think that it just takes, there's a lot of good fights in it, and there's a lot of character progression because you just see the team members kind of taken one by one, and they kind of each get their time to shine, I guess, and their time to show their progression, how much they've learned throughout the series as they take on the Sound Ninja, or the Sound 4, and then especially because it gives birth to the final fight of the series, which is Naruto Sasuke, which again I think is an amazing fight. Then my first favourite arc, and probably my favourite arc in manga at the moment, is the Chunin exams. It's pretty self-explanatory. The best fight in the series and one of the best fights in manga. A bunch of amazing fights. Alright, sorry about that. As I was saying, the Chunin exams has the best fights in the series. You get to introduce to the best character. I think like all the good characters in the series are introduced in that arc, and you just get to see a bunch of amazing fights. I think they have, although it has more fights, or I don't know if it's more of the same fights as the Rescue Sasuke arc. I think they're consistently good and consistently better than the fights in this Rescue Sasuke arc. And although it probably has less character progression in that arc, I just think the fights make it better and the best arc in the series. The final category, which will probably be the one I'll be talking about for the longest, is characters. Now, firstly, I wanted to obviously touch on Naruto as the main character. I think he does a very good job as a main character. I like series similar to My Hero Academia, where the main character influences other people around him and kind of influences the actions. I think Deku might do it slightly better than Naruto, but considering it's a more evolved and series, and kind of like My Hero Academia has taken tips from the success of Naruto, I think that Naruto to be one of the first characters to do so, and kind of it has an impact to larger, like he impacts Gaara, Rock Lee. You can see them talking about him. Even Sasuke, although he doesn't want to believe it, he does impact him through the fact that he gets stronger and he just becomes more talented, or is maybe just more of a raw talent than Sasuke, and that's kind of, that influences him. He influences Sakura. Not that I really like her as a character, but yeah, I think that he's a very good main character. He goes through a decent amount of progression, Now, so is his character kind of type being someone that has the ability to become one of the strongest or strongest person in the manga or anime is something that's traditionally seen now in a lot of shonen. But at the time, I think he was a unique character. I think he's different from Luffy and Ichigo, which are his kind of competing characters at the time. You can kind of see his childish behavior, considering like I think he acts his age as well, which is something that's interesting. Like a lot of kid characters in manga kind of act a lot more mature than they are. I think Naruto gives a lot of laughs, and he's a very much acts his age. So I think hats off to Kishimoto on his character, on his main character, kind of design and progression. He's got a very unique look. His costume's cool, and I think Rasengan is the coolest jutsu in the whole of Naruto. I think Chidori is a close second, and I'm pretty sure on one of these volumes there is a popularity poll on that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Naruto as a main character is amazing. I think Kishimoto does a really good job with him. And obviously you got that cool character that's in a lot of anime nowadays, and that is obviously Kakashi. As you can see the pop there of him. I think he's obviously the best character in Naruto, and it stands to reason why he wins a lot of the popularity polls. And I just think a character like him never really dies out. They always keep their consistency and they're always cool. And even if they're not in the fights for a while, not in the story, they're always there and they always come back. I think progression is key in the series, and I don't think a lot of the minor characters, now this is a bit of a gripe, get the progression that they deserve. I think maybe Shikamaru is probably one of the minor characters that gets a lot of progression, but especially in the Rescue Sasuke arc, you can see that characters kind of get their time in the spotlight with one fight or one or two fights, and then they're kind of gone. That's something that I think Horikoshi is trying to prevent it with My Hero Academia, but it's something that is seen in Naruto, and that's kind of one gripe with characters that I have. But other than that, the characters are cool. The villains, I think, are just okay. I think there are a few standout characters which I'll mention later. But Orochimaru, he's alright as a villain. I think when he's not the final person that you fight in the series, it kind of just means that he wasn't that interesting as a character and he wasn't that important. I think the whole series was really about Sasuke and Naruto and kind of their bond and disagreements, I guess. I think it was more about that. And I think Orochimaru was just seen more as a plot armor than a villain. He's not even in that many fights. And I think that he's not really that interesting as a villain. I think Zabuza is much better than him. And again, the Sound 4 are not really that interesting as villains. You don't really learn a lot about them. They're again just have a plot armor and fights. And although the fights are interesting with them, as villains, they're not really that interesting. I think Kabuto is probably the most interesting of the villains because he does have a lot of backstory and he is there from the beginning. And you actually learn to trust him in the tuning exams until you find out that he's working with Orochimaru. So I think he's probably one of the most interesting villains after Zabuza. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. Deaths-wise, in terms of characters, the third Hokage's death's reasonably sad, but I don't think he really does enough in the series to make it a very emotional death. And I think that the saddest part of the series is Zabuza and his son's death very early on in the series. And I don't think the third Hokage's death really matches up to it that well. But I don't think death is something that's really common in Naruto Part 1. I just think it's because they're younger and they're mature and it's really just about them getting older and them getting better. I think deaths will hit harder in Naruto Part 2. It's going to kind of be more of a mature series, more mature second half to the series. And because it's longer, I just feel like there's going to be maybe 3 or 4 major deaths in the series. Now, if I was talking about a few standout characters that I think did a good job or are important in the series, I think Zabuza, again, I think he kicked off the villains really well, and I just don't think he was matched by any of the villains as the series progressed. I think he gave you kind of felt sorry for him, and he gave a very emotional side. I like villains that are kind of you can kind of understand them, and although they might do bad stuff, you can understand their reasons behind it and their intentions. Something that's kind of Orochimaru is just a bit of a bland villain, in my opinion. Shikamaru, I think, is a very standout character as well. at the beginning in the tuning exams, he's just introduced to somebody who doesn't really care about anything, but by the end of the story, we see him in tears over not getting Sasuke and things like that, which kind of see his character progress. And I think he goes through, like I said, the most character progression out of the minor characters. Rock Lee and Gaara, again, two characters to go through a lot of progression, and the fights that they are in the series are all very good fights. And that's pretty much it in terms of standout characters, and that's pretty much it in terms of the review. Now, obviously, I didn't touch on everything because I didn't want to make this video too long. This is already my longest video at over 20 minutes. So, if there is anything that I didn't touch upon which you wanted to discuss, then let me know in the comment section below. Again, Naruto is my favourite manga at the moment. Obviously, I'm reasonably new to the manga, only been collecting and reading for about a year. But I just think that Naruto always have that special place in my heart, considering it is the series I got into. I haven't actually got into part 2 yet. I bought box set 2 a while back, and I'm looking to buy box set 3 so I can just binge read the whole series pretty much, and then go to Boruto from there. But I probably will have a video kind of talking about volumes 28 to 48 and kind of halfway through the series, or part 2, what I think about it. Other than that, hopefully you guys are having a great day. I'm really happy to finally have this video out for you guys, and peace.